take that moment in take 1 and then that gesture in take 5? How does that work? How did you guys do it?
It's like being in a candy shop
Yeah.
to look at everything and be excited about it, but also nervous because it's a big cinema. It was a space that I think changed us a lot in terms of how we think about the world and ourselves. FTI is really important in the process.
Payal and Ranabir, firstly, thank you for doing this. I know I've fully just accosted you. You have only just come to Cannes without any plans to give an interview. And I have found you and said, I cannot leave. And I'll tell you why. I first came to this festival in 1999, okay? That was the year Murali Nair won the camera door for Marna Simhasanam. And since then, every year, it's been like, will we get a film into competition? And for 30 years, nothing has happened, right? So the two of you, with this film, your team, your actors, what you guys have accomplished is just so incredible. And we're all so proud and just feels so great. It just feels so great that I couldn't let you go without subjecting you to this. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's a really evocative and moving film, and I think the way you sort of just layer it and build it piece by piece. I started crying at that point where Chaya Kadam's character says कि वो टावर पे टावर बना रहे हैं, ऊंचा और ऊंचा कर रहे हैं, शायद उनको लगता है वो एक दिन खुद ही भगवान बन जाएंगे. It was just, for me, that just said so much about the city of Mumbai. I know this has been in your gestating and marinating with you for years. Where does this script come from?
The script, yeah, like you said, it was. It's been a long time since we've been working on it together. Although Ranabir is the cameraman, but we also work together on everything. And
you're also a co-producer on this.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as with my previous film as well,
yeah.
We kind of work like a team. And so we've been working on it for many years. And I mean, as time goes by, what you write and you change as a person, and the film also keeps changing because obviously time has passed. So I think the film sort of started somewhere but ended up in a completely different place. In the middle, we made another film. So I think there was, even if the starting point was meeting someone who was a nurse, and we became friends and we spent a lot of time together, and there were a lot of things about like just about how difficult it was for her to be in the city and do kind of the nursing profession itself is so difficult. So even though that was the starting point, I think finally the film grew into becoming a film which is also looking at the city and the people who and in how it's sort of it's also it's a place where a lot of people can find work, but it's also a very cruel space.
Yeah.
And it's and all the contradictions with it being a free apparently freer place, but also its capitalism and the kind of money that you need to be happy to live there. So these contradictions is what interested me, and I was and also the film is about friendship somewhere. It's really like that became something that I was very interested in, because I think as we grow older and you leave home and you start living in a different place, and it happened with me with FTI, that I made friends who became like a family to me. And I think when you move away from home and you move away from family, it's your friends who become your family. And friendship is a relationship that has no definition, because a mother, daughter, a sister can have certain definitions. But a friendship is what you two decide you want it to be. And that's something that's affected me a lot as I grow older. So those were some of the ideas in the film, and somehow I hope they come together.
They do. And what struck me was really the visual language, the way that you have shot Mumbai, the way that you portrayed the city. And I think it's such a cliche to say, oh, the city is a character, but I think what you capture is just the how crushing it is, and yet there's a sort of a grim beauty in it. What were the conversations that the two of you had about how Mumbai will be in this city, in this film?
I think when we shot Mumbai, the part of the film also takes place in the monsoon,
Yes.
and I think Mumbai in the monsoon is also very different from Mumbai the rest of the year. But what we wanted somewhere to capture was, one, the season and the city, and two, just a sense of how fast it is in some senses, and how there is no you very rarely have time to stop and think about things. And
It's
to stop and
relentless.
reflect. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we wanted to feel as real as possible with the crowds and with everything always moving. There's a sense of how things are always in motion, and that is something that we wanted to keep in the film.
There's also the feeling of the monsoon and the monsoon light. Like it can be both beautiful and horrific, because the monsoon can be, okay, it's a relief a little bit. The weather changes from May, you get the summer goes and you feel a bit nice, a little bit cooler. But it's also terrible because the water can flood your house, and it can be awful to get to work every day. This is also the relationship with the monsoon that Mumbaikars have.
Yeah.
Is something that, and the contradiction in that as well, is something that we wanted to have in the film, because the monsoon is a plot point in several places, both in a sense of romance, but also in a sense of like, a very unpleasant moment in the film. So that was something that, growing up in Mumbai, we've seen a lot, just trying to get to college, or
Of course.
those, and for people to go to work every day in the rain, it's not romantic at all. It's really difficult.
Yeah. It is really difficult. The other thing I was thinking as I watched is that the films the two of you have created, especially the visual language that you've worn, one of the most striking things about it is that you don't have boundaries. You're not saying this is fiction, this is documentary, this is a hybrid. You've got animation, you've got illustration. You're not in your head creating sort of parameters for yourself, right? In an item knowing nothing, there is footage, there is found footage, there is there's a whole narrative which is fiction about a woman in love writing these letters. When you come to narrative fiction, this is your first time, did you find that a little constricting? How did you grapple with the telling of that type of film?
I mean, yeah, fiction is a whole different ball game, because there's a lot of more people involved, and there's a lot of planning involved, and unlike non-fiction, which you can just go and with your camera and do, and you might get something, you might not, and it might be a complete failure, but you can't do that in fiction because it employs a lot of people also, and there's a lot of money on the line comparatively. For us, I think we somewhere find that process a bit restrictive. So to counter that, we sort of tried to do the film in different schedules, because what we really enjoy doing, because of what you said, that we like putting a lot of random masala into the film, which is not really masala in the sense of masala, but like to try to put different things. We shot the first schedule, took a break, edited a bit, edited the first part, and then went into the second, which although is not, which is still fiction, but the process is a little bit closer to the non-fiction process, because in non-fiction you shoot a little, you edit, and then you check what you did, and then see what you need. So I think somewhere that process was, in that sense, we tried as much as we could to have this moment to kind of step back from what we had done and look again, and then rework a little bit more.
So what you had done and your edit would shape what was to come. It's not like there was like a bound script and you wouldn't move.
No, there was a bound script, but
this would still have impact on what you would do next.
Yeah, because in the first half we also realized, like, working with these actors, they are so amazing. And there was a certain camaraderie between them which I hadn't had in mind. And when I saw them together, and we worked so much together, we did like workshops and we spent a lot of time together. It was like a family. I wanted to have a bit more of that. So I changed the script a bit for the second half to accommodate that, something that I'd learned.
So I just had a conversation with the actors. They were talking about your workshop process, like
Yeah.
how much you rehearsed,
Yeah.
right? And they were saying that all the improvisation was actually in those rehearsals. And so when you guys went to set, there was very precise mapping of the performance because you've already rehearsed so much. Tell me about this. I'm very intrigued at the idea of like, they were all saying that you would say, okay, take that moment in take 1 and then that gesture in take 5. How does that work? How did you guys do it?
I think it's really it was a big learning for me because even when we were in FTI, I don't think I had the opportunity to work so closely with actors.
Yeah.
So I think I was just trying to figure it out for myself, and the workshop was a process to learn for me as well. So in that sense, I would like to say that I had a lot of control over what I was doing, but I think it was more a process of because firstly I don't speak the language and it's difficult to fully understand focus even when it becomes internalized by the actors. So the workshops really helped with that, and for me it was a kind of a learning also, like how I want to work with these actors. And it was a nice process because they gave a lot to the characters and they really sort of made them their own.
They're lovely.
They are the best. I
Yeah.
mean, the amount of time they gave me and the kind of commitment to the project, I mean, it's really a delight for anybody to work with people like this.
Yeah. You know, the other thing that struck me was how love is such a recurring theme in the films that the two of you make. Oh, tell me about that.
I think maybe we are at an age where people around us are, getting married or being in very serious relationships. And in our country, love is extremely political and it has posed a lot of problems for our friends with their families and who they can be with, whether it's to do with caste or with religion or issues where it's been difficult. So I think it's just that fact that we are at this age and we have friends and we are all having these conversations, perhaps maybe, and because of love being very political in our country. I think it is something that we keep going back to, whether we like it or not. It just draws us. I'm also a very big romantic, so.
You are. No, you can see that. You can see that in the movies. You can see that. And here you are with your feature debut, going up only against Francis Ford Coppola, who's also in competition, only against David Cronenberg. What does that even feel like?
It's a bit overwhelming, but it's really like, it's for us, these are filmmakers we really look up to. We admired their work when we were studying. So it's just really an honor. I mean, I'm really excited to see the films of like Miguel Gomes as well. It's a filmmaker who I wrote my thesis project in FTI about. So I'm like a fangirl. So it's just it's like being in a candy shop.
Yeah.
To look at everything and be excited about it, but also nervous because it's a big cinema.
It is. It is a big cinema. But speaking of FTI, what a year for FTI.
It is great, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, from La Cinef
Yeah.
to Acid, it's everywhere you look, there is something. And of course, you guys are in the main competition, the sort of holy grail. What do you think a year like this can do for FTI?
I don't think it's about what a year like this can do from it. It's just a testament to the space and to what has been happening for many years now.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
so I think that it's just some form of validation amongst many forms which have existed, that it's a space that has given opportunity to a lot of us and a lot of people who have been there to sort of grow and make films.
Yeah, we are very like the people we met, like Mesam is my batchmate and his film is also here, which is so nice, and Raghu also, who was in the editing batch, and we sort of all like grow up together almost in the time that we spent there, and it was a space that I think changed us a lot in terms of how we think about the world and ourselves. So FTI is really important in the process, I think, to sort of, because filmmaking is a very long process and you need to find people who you can work with and you feel that they understand what you have in mind and you understand what they have in mind. And FTI becomes a nice space to sort of try some experiments and work things out, and that carries on even later on. So I think it's important that we make sure that spaces like FTI can exist, and more places like this can be there, which are public funded in all states, so that everybody gets the opportunity. Because at the end of the day, it's really expensive to become to be a filmmaker, and it's somewhere even like it's a little elitist to be able to think that you could do it also, because it's not easy to have a job and to make films, and so you need to be able to not have that job and make films, so it's complicated. So if every state had a film school where people could go, I think it would be really nice for everybody to have an opportunity to go there.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm also married to an FTI grad. So, one last question. I know you have steeled yourself to get through this interview. As I was heading to the interview with your actors, I read that Janus Films has picked up All We Imagine Is Light for US distribution, which is so fantastic. Do you have any plans for India?
Yeah, we are planning to do a release, and we also release in Kerala. I think in Kerala, the audiences really appreciate a lot of different kinds of cinema, and they really have so many interesting filmmakers coming out from there, whether it's smaller films or more commercial films. I feel that there is something going on in Kerala which is, in terms of cinema, which is really incredible. They also have a state-funded fund which is supporting filmmakers, so there's interesting films coming out of there as well. So I think that it would be great to have a release in Kerala and then also in the rest of the country as well. I think it could be a film that we could release. No? What do you think?
I hope so.
Well, I can't wait to see it. And listen, all best for the 24th. We are all rooting for you. And thank you. You made us all very proud.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You've been watching FC at Cannes 2024 in association with entertainment partner Airtel Xstream Fiber, beauty partner Lakme, podcast partner Amazon Music, and travel partner Air France.